we find our light, a community strong. In unity we stand, Obsidian Fleet hand in hand. From distant worlds to the final frontier, our imaginations bold and clear. With pen and heart, we craft our tales in this universe. Our spirit prevails. Collaborate, create, and share. In the fleet, we find friends who care. Task force is strong, united we rise.
And we are live. At least I hope we're live. I've pressed buttons, I've done things, and it looks like it's live, but we are live. And we are here on a Tuesday night.
I know, weird, right?
It's weird, yes. I am here as usual, and I am joined by the ever lovely OG Task Force 47 GM, that is Ben. How are you doing tonight, my lovely?
I am not bad, thank you. A little bit tired, a little bit overheated. How about you?
Same, yes. So we had to cancel Saturday's night's episode because I wasn't very well. So apologies to everyone who was a bit disappointed, but thank you so much for the lovely messages asking if I was okay. I am okay. I probably sound a bit croaky, so apologies for that. But yes, we are here for a Tuesday night edition of Fleetcast, and we are reviewing the amazing episode of Doctor Who that was The Devil's Chord. I didn't know what to expect going into this episode. I don't know about you, Ben, because of how much negativity there was around the fact that we had Jinx playing the bad guy in this episode.
Sorry, 'cause you were telling me about this before we started. And I find it really bizarre because in my mind it's like it's an actor. It's an actor playing a role.
I don't think it helped with the BBC what stuff they put out around her beforehand. I really don't think it helped with that. But
see, I literally the whole time I've been avoiding stuff that's coming out around the show like the plague.
Yeah.
So anytime I saw any article on it, anything like that, I was automatically clicking away.
Yeah.
And a large part of that was I was like, right, I don't want to go in essentially with a preformed opinion.
Yes.
I want to actually give it basically the same chance that I try to give all the new Doctors, which is they basically get one season to wow me. And I thought if I read all of these things, either it will massively hype me up, or it will make me go, "Oh, for bleeding heck's sake!"
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I was not disappointed at any point of this episode. But yes, jumping into this episode, I didn't quite know what to expect. I didn't see anything really beforehand. I didn't read any of the blurbs or anything because I'd actually forgotten that we got 2 episodes. Because I don't know about you, but I didn't realize that we were going to get 2 episodes that open at 9. So I kind of take back everything I really said about being a bit salty. Because we did get 2 episodes that night.
I'm still salty.
Okay. You're still on that bandwagon, are you?
Yeah, they're not going to get me off that bandwagon until they put it back to what they did during the anniversary specials.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I feel very much like when we did these reviews around Christmas time, we were quite hyped because we literally used to watch the episode and then come straight on and record them. Where this time, you've kind of still watched them in like the week they've come out. Me, not so much. I watched 3 together, and then I was like, and then I've watched another 3 this week.
So where are you up to now?
I'm caught up. I'm completely caught up.
Okay.
Okay. So we've just got the last 2 episodes, haven't we?
Yeah, oh, I feel really bad for you with the most recent three that you watched. Oh, we got the last episode because the
So,
second to last one's already aired.
oh, okay. So where the people that go into the cinema, they only get the one that we've already seen and then the new one.
Yes,
Right.
and
Okay.
I'm really hacked off that they're not doing a screening near me.
There's not many of them though. There's not many.
Yeah, I know because I actually went onto Cineworld's website and was going through.
Yeah. Chris says that even he had seen clips of the episode scrolling through TikTok, so it's an achievement that Ben avoided spoilers.
To be fair, I avoided spoilers up until they aired,
Yeah.
and that's the reason why I've been watching them as they come out.
Yes, I don't have that worry. I kind of basically left things to just fate. But thank you to everyone who is, Cam, Ben, Paul, so the fact that you have been using spoiler in Discord because I have no self-control, okay?
Hmm.
I have literally no self-control when it comes to spoilers. I will just do it. I don't stop myself. I just so the fact that you guys have been doing that for me, thank you, because I was pleasantly surprised when
It
I finally caught up.
it's only because I always want to throttle anyone who does put spoilers in for something that I like.
Yes,
So
so I appreciate you, but yes, going into this episode, hmm, I didn't quite understand what was going on at the beginning because obviously it jumps straight into us being in, is it the 1920s?
uh I see I can't remember if it was the 1910s or the
No,
1920s.
1925, and we basically jump in to a piano teacher showing his student the Devil's Chord, which then basically summons Maestro,
Hmm.
who basically then consumes the teacher's musical essence,
Yeah.
ending him in the process.
Hmm.
And then we kind of get the crazy breaking the fourth wall, looking into the camera, and then playing the notes.
Opening bars, the
Yeah,
theme.
and then they go and then obviously then we go into the opening credits. And I was a
Yeah.
bit like, whoa, so much has happened in this episode in 5 minutes. One, who's the harbinger? What does that mean? Who is Maestro? Why are they in a piano?
Uh
There was
yeah.
just so much that went on in that literal 5 minutes.
I also so one thing I genuinely really liked here,
Hmm.
because but I make no secret I am very much of the like I'm all for representation provided it never comes at the expense of good storytelling.
Yeah,
That was one of my big gripes with the Jodie Whittaker era. It felt like they put the storytelling as point B. You've got the bit at the start where they set where sort of the piano teacher addresses Maestro as do they address them as he or she? I can't remember which.
he.
And then you get the explanation of they what I'm them
Yeah,
and sort of corrects that. And it's the only time it ever comes up.
yeah.
It
It doesn't.
it
It
they
literally doesn't come up again. And I really enjoyed it. I
but
really like the representation as
yeah.
a bisexual woman who is
Mm,
part of that community. The fact that it was said once and then
yeah.
that was it.
The thing is, because I one thing that I've always said in regards to this, and I'm going to use Star Trek: Strange New Worlds here
Hmm.
because it is the example I always give. Strange New Worlds has the single best bit of representation for a trans character, in that they never make it about the fact that you have a trans character.
Hmm.
It is about the fact that you have this character who is a competent officer, a
Yeah,
competent character,
yeah.
and
And
that
I feel very
yeah,
much like they ticked every box with having Jinx playing
yeah,
Maestro. Like every single box.
yeah, because they did a very good job with it.
Yeah.
Sort of, it was well written, it was well acted,
Hmm.
and the points where it does become self-indulgent are very much in service of the character and the plot.
Yeah. And it nothing feels kind of out of place with having this character because that
Mm.
was one of the things that people were complaining about. They were really worried that a drag queen was going to be over the top, was going to be this, was going to be that. But oh my god, Jinx hit every single note for me in this episode, and obviously as we go on, you'll see why I love this episode so much.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
this scene was just, I was like, you don't even need the doctor in it. What's going on? You know,
but let's not go too far
mm,
because we've got plenty of
no,
lack of
no,
Doctor later on, like
no.
this season.
I know, but there are reasons for the lack of doctor though,
Yeah,
because
he was busy doing sex education, which, as a big fan of that show, fair play.
yes. But this is why a lot of these episodes feel very, very disjointed because they were filmed out of order. Because
Yeah,
obviously 73 yards was the first episode filmed.
yeah, because literally, because when I went to Comic Con, they did the screening of 73 Hours
Yeah.
I went to see, and they mentioned that sort of basically what's her name, Millie Gibson, was very much thrown in the deep end with
Oh,
it.
100%. She was literally thrown in the deep end. And this is very much why a lot of the episodes feel disjointed or they don't feel like
Mm.
the characters are together because they actually weren't.
Mm.
Because they were basically filming two programs all at the same time.
Yeah, hence why you get two episodes where the Doctor has a cumulative screen time of about 12 minutes.
Yes, yes, which I don't think is a bad thing. But in this episode, these
Mm.
first 5 minutes, I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, but so I enjoyed this opening. Um, the only you're right.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, the only part that I won't say I disliked it,
Hmm.
but something about the visual of sort of Maestro basically getting all the musical notes out of the guy and then rolling it up
Hmm.
like a ball of spaghetti
Yeah,
didn't quite sit with me, and particularly because we never see them do it again. If that
no,
had been a running thing,
yeah.
I think I would have been more okay with it because it only happened here. I'm like, what?
Okay, but it did, the kind of visual effects actually reminded me of, that episode that we reviewed that was set in the 2012 Olympics and the
Yes, I did get the visual cue there.
sorry folks, I do still have a bit of a cough, so I apologize. I'm trying to keep it in, but it might still come out. But yeah, the
Yeah,
visual
don't
effects
die.
of like the pencil monster,
Yeah, oh yeah,
it kind of felt a bit like that moment.
mm,
It was done for like cheap effects, but yeah, I really like this opening scene, even though it did confuse
mm,
me. But I think that's more me because I don't know much about slightly more of the original characters from the original run. Because this is very
yeah,
much, I feel very much like this is in keeping with the feel of those episodes.
yeah. I think the because some episodes in this series are very in keeping with, especially the earlier David Tennant stuff.
Yeah. But even
And
like the original, back to like Hartnell and McCoy, those type of things, the vibe is very much in line with them.
I didn't get a huge amount of Hartnell sort of type vibes. I did get, going generally through this run,
Hmm.
a lot of sort of Tom Baker, Peter
Mm.
Davidson type era.
Yeah, it just they're very much the vibe of the episodes. But yes, so obviously
Which,
we have the credits of the episode, and then at the Ruby's request, they go back to 1963 to see the Beatles record their first album.
hmm.
And they kind of get there, but they're kind of very much disappointed by
Well,
what they see.
before we get to that, could we just step back for a minute?
Of
Because you've missed
course.
my favourite bit.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go on then. You
So
tell them.
the bit where they're in the TARDIS and they're about to go out, and Ruby says, "Hang on a minute, but what about our clothes?"
Yes.
And the Doctor's response of, "That is a brilliant idea." And now I'm not a big fan of the Doctor having 37 different outfits.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I think the character should have one or two with variants of those one or two.
Yes.
But this gives us my favorite outfit he has this season, which
Yes.
is a blue suit. And it's sort of, I am very aware that I am somewhat biased because it is quite reminiscent of David Tennant's second costume. Like, literally, you change the color of the stripes, and you're pretty much there. Oh, and also it's double-breasted rather than single-breasted. But I still like. I look at that and I'm like, this is how the Doctor's supposed to be dressed. He's not supposed to be in jeans and a t-shirt. He's not supposed to be dressed like Danny Zuko.
Yes, I think it's a very, very nice suit, and I actually
I
like.
also I like the go-go boots as well that
Yes,
Ruby's got.
yes,
Just 'cause I'm a sucker for go-go boots.
I just love the vibe of these outfits and the fact that the Doctor is very much getting into the costume because we
I,
don't see that often. I
yeah,
don't remember another Doctor doing that.
no, not really. Although, can we address one thing?
What's that?
Where did the hair come from?
Oh, you could do hair, man. You can. You are thinking as a man with very short hair. We can fix our hair.
But he had no his hair.
Ah, that would have been easy enough. That's a wig, man. It's a
I
wig.
like to think that he just does some timey-wimey rubbish to make it grow.
If that is your headcanon, love, that can be your headcanon. I do not mind. All right. But yes, so they kind of exit the TARDIS. They go across the zebra crossings,
Yep.
which is for anyone who is not British. If you go to where EMI studios are, is it Abbey Lane? Abbey Lane? What's the place called when they do the filming?
Abbey Road.
Abbey Road. Well, I'll have to hand back my brick card there. If they go to Abbey Road, it's one of those things that you have to do on this zebra crossing is
Because it was literally the Beatles album cover.
yes,
Cover.
yes.
Not
So
coven.
that's a whole different show.
Yeah.
But yes, so they obviously cross the zebra crossing and they go into the studio and they are really, really disappointed by what they hear from the Beatles, from Cilla Black. It's dire. They're singing about a pet dog.
See, I have a love-hate relationship with this because it's just it's very reminiscent of Adam West Batman. It's sort of so bad it circles back
Yeah,
round to
but
being good.
it's such a poorly composed
Oh yeah,
song.
it's bad. It's sort of, as I say, so bad it's good, but it is the tragic end of bad, and it's just comical for it.
Yes, and obviously they see Cilla Black and an orchestra both having a really dire times
Yep.
trying to.
Three Blind Mice.
Yes, they're trying to find
Out of
out.
tune, I will add.
Yes, it was dire. It was dire. But what I like is then we kind of get the scene where Ruby and the Doctor both are talking to John Lennon and Paul McCartney, and they basically kind of go into the fact that they've discovered that the world has kind of lost its taste for music.
Yeah. Also, that there was something else here, something we're forgetting. Oh, what was it? Hang on, let me just get a drink while I think about that. You're missing the cue. Who was the tea lady?
Oh, I hadn't got to that part yet. I hadn't got to
but
that
that was
part.
that's before they go to John Lennon.
Yeah, okay. So we have to talk about the tea lady. And the fact that it's the tea lady that we have seen in several other places. She is the comms officer from the previous episode. She was
with Sir Isaac Newton back in Wild Blue Yonder.
Yes.
And we might see her once or twice more before the series is out. Just once or twice.
Yes. But you don't realise in this episode, obviously we're quite fortunate that we're looking at this slightly from forward because we've seen everything that's available up until now, apart from the last episode, so we're kind of a bit fortunate that we kind of know what is going on and what this lady is about.
Yes, although on the subject of having not seen the last episode, if like Russell T Davies will start sending us them ahead of time so we can pre-review them, that would be great.
It would be lovely.
Like Russell, if you're watching,
Russell Howard. Do you know what he did? He liked one of my
Russell
comments.
T Davis.
Yeah.
But Russell Howard is a very different Russell.
I don't care. I like him too. I love Russell Howard.
Do I love him.
Russell Howard. I used to want to marry Russell Howard because he's Bristolian, man.
I don't love him that much.
He's Bristolian. He's my boy. And yes, But Russell T Davis actually liked one of my comments this week because I basically said I'm expecting big things from the ending of this episode. I mean, Bad Wolf level of excitement. I need like it needs to be Bad Wolf level. It's got to be, otherwise I'm going to be really upset. I'm not going to lie.
Mm,
We might have problems because if I don't get Bad Wolf levels of closure after all of
yeah.
this.
I, I mean, all I have to say is after having
Mhm. Mhm.
sorry, that was my spoiler filter. But
Mhm.
after
Mhm. But yes. So the tea lady is going to become a running theme, which we will discuss at the end of this episode because it comes along. It comes along. We get a bit of a spoiler at the end. But yes, so you know, Ruby and the Doctor are like, what do you mean that music's gone from the world? So fearing the impact of the lack of music on humanity, the Doctor has Ruby play a song on a piano, which summons Maestro. And it is terrifying.
Well, the bit that makes it is the Doctor's reaction.
Yes, the Doctor's reaction to it, because the Doctor recognises the laugh as the same as the toy maker's giggle.
Yeah, and proceeds to literally just run away.
Yes, I don't remember ever seeing a Doctor just run like this.
Uh, very rarely. But
Yes,
I think we saw it once or twice previously.
but not quite like this. Like the Doctor runs, and we get the most amazing scene of Maestro trying to track them down with what do they call it? They call it
A tuning fork.
a tuning fork. She's basically chasing after them with a tuning fork.
And then what I like here is I like the fact that what the Doctor does, and I didn't get a screen grab for this
Hmm.
to send you part of the chat, but the Doctor, they take advantage of the fact that it is a sonic screwdriver. It sounds so the Doctor uses it to make like a suppressing
A zone of
thing.
silence.
Yeah,
A zone of
which
silence, which is a
also,
amazing use of it.
yeah, I tell you what, because I rewatched this episode before we've done this, just because I hadn't watched it in several weeks.
For five.
Well, I went back and rewatched it, and because I found it bizarre when I saw in Rogue, mild spoiler for this episode, but it's not a plot relevant thing. But the Doctor's screwdriver is now pink in that episode. It's a different screwdriver.
Okay.
Unless, of course, I was seeing things that was lighting. But if you look in this one, the screwdriver actually blows up in the Doctor's hand during this scene.
Okay, so it could just be he's rebuilt it at some point.
Yeah, because I just found, I was like, is he seriously making a color changing sonic screwdriver?
I
Like,
wouldn't be
really?
disappointed. I really wouldn't be disappointed. But
I'm still
yes,
disappointed about the TV remote design. Like, but bring back the one that actually looks like it could be a tool. I know Russell T Davis said, "Oh, it looks too much like a gun." It doesn't look like a gun. It looks like a torch more than anything else.
yes. But I love this usage of the sonic screwdriver and the fact that Maestro looks so manic in going after the Doctor. But what we
Hmm.
realise is when Ruby has been playing, all these people have been listening to the music, and some of them are upset, some of them are crying. But one little old lady, one little old biddy, has literally got inspired, and she gets out her old piano, she undoes whatever she's doing on the piano, and she starts to play, and then it kind of goes all sad and all, and then Maestro destroys her.
Yeah. See, this is one bit where it does differ from what you would have got in Russell T Davis's previous writing,
Yeah.
because they would have come back to the fact that So particularly in the early David Tennant run, he would have come back to the fact that the old woman had been killed, and the Doctor would have ended up finding her for some reason,
Yes.
and that would be the point where he would go into sort of the righteous fury
Yes.
almost, which is one thing that I would like to see more of, because
Yeah.
we've got to see Shooty do that now,
Yes.
and he
Oh
does
gosh,
it
yeah.
very well.
He, oh my goodness, definitely does it very
Like
well.
very understated,
Yes.
but
Yes, and I think that's very much an important point for later on. But yeah, this point oh, what are we calling it? Season 2.0 for Russell T Davies feels very, very different than
yeah.
the original run that he did. I don't know whether that's because he's changed as a producer, writer, or whether it's us that's changed and we expect different things from television now. Because
I
it's over a decade since he last.
I think it's a little from column A, a little from column B,
Yeah,
because
maybe.
realistically, as you say, like you've had 15 years pass in between.
God, has it been that long?
Yeah, because the last episode that he wrote prior to doing Star Beast was End of Time Part 2, which was New Year's Day 2010.
Jeez, now I feel old.
Yeah, welcome to that.
But yes, so yeah, I feel very much like it's a very different vibe, and the stakes are very much higher in this episode. But yeah, so we've got Maestro being absolutely manic, scaring the Doctor and Ruby, and they escape. Maestro goes after the little biddy, but then we get the moment where Ruby and the Doctor go back to 2024.
Yes, and we get something which we've seen once or twice in Doctor Who.
Yes.
Um, Not so much in New Who, but it happened a few times in Classic.
Yes, and we kind of get the ruins of London in a nuclear winter. And then we get Maestro who appears. And we get the moment that we've kind of all been waiting for, that we've kind of thought might it
We
might happen.
get the explanation of exactly who Maestro is.
Yes, and it turns out they are the child of the toy maker. And
Mm,
they kind of explain their plan is to eradicate all life from the
yeah,
universe, leaving only the alien tones.
yeah. Which, like, the worst thing is, and this is the one part which, because I like the sort of overall characterization, I like the background for the character.
Yes.
I don't like the motivation, because their motivation essentially boils down to daddy issues.
It very much, this episode is Maestro's daddy issues. I am not gonna
That's
lie.
my biggest gripe with the character.
See,
It's like
I
you
I really like that. I think that is totally in keeping with how crazy the toy maker is.
yes,
I think with the family dynamics, with the pantheon
Pantheon.
pantheon of the gods, I think that's very much in keeping, because
Well,
we get that in mythology. Like,
yeah.
how many
Or
daddy issue
look at.
demigods does Zeus create?
I was going to say, look at Greek.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I think that's
Also,
kind of keeping in vein with that.
yeah. Also, one thing that I do like here, which is going to sound very contradictory after I've just said I have an issue with the daddy issues,
Hmm.
but Maestro's costume is very reminiscent of the toy maker's costume when he turned up at Unit,
Yes, I'm gonna
like
throw
the
up. I'm
Nutcracker
gonna
one.
I'm gonna throw up the costume because I think people need to see it. This is slightly from a later scene, but I think it needs to be said. Seeing we're discussing the toy maker's costume now. But yes, so she basically just wants to leave the winds. So
Mm,
I don't even know how to explain the alien. It's basically just the winds that are left.
mm.
Is that the best way to describe it? Do you think?
More or less, yeah. It's hard to.
Yeah, it's hard to,
Yeah.
it's hard to define. That's the only way that I can describe it. Is basically the winds of the universe left. And
Mm.
Maestro kind of basically claims that to defeat them, the Doctor would need to find the correct chord to banish them. And Maestro doesn't believe that the Doctor is capable of doing that. And I think that is
Uh,
possibly the best thing about this episode is the fact that we do not know if the Doctor can defeat Maestro.
well, yeah, because the thing is, what I like the way the Doctor sums it up because his response is to say, well, at the end of the day, music is just science. It's
Yeah,
just a different kind of science.
yeah,
And it brings in that point of the character that was
yeah,
particularly prevalent in the classic series of he is the mad scientist.
yes, yes.
Also, we get the bit with Ruby and the bit where Maestro shows the song that she's got in her heart.
Yes, so they go back to 1963 and basically Maestro attacks Ruby, but she stops when the Carol of the Bells begin to play and the
Yep.
snow starts to fall again.
And
And
but then she mentions that there's a hidden song underneath. Uh, do you,
yes,
and I sent you something that my friend had sent me where it pointed out where we've heard this hidden song before, whether or not it's going
yes,
to be relevant.
yes,
If
yes,
you've ever watched the Sarah Jane Adventures,
yes. I think explain for everyone that what your theory is on this. I think because I think
so
it's
it's not
important.
actually mine, it's one that I saw online,
Okay.
but it's one of several theories that I am very much on board for.
Yeah.
And that being because the hidden song that starts playing is actually the trickster's motif from the Sarah Jane Adventures. The trickster, for those who don't know, was a member of the Pantheon of Discord,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I am not going to go too far into at this point in time.
Yes.
But he was like the big bad throughout the early seasons of the Sarah Jane Adventures, and
Yes.
he was obsessed with the Doctor
Yes. But the Doctor wasn't there.
until the final episode. I think it was the
Yes.
final episode the Trickster was ever in,
Yeah.
where I and this is the one bit I didn't like about his plot because you built him up as a villain for Sarah Jane, and then the Doctor beats him.
Yeah, and that's kind of very frustrating about the Sarah Jane Adventures, but I think that might have been because of what what was going on with Sarah Jane, like the actress
Yeah,
behind Sarah Jane. So I think that
it
possibly
it also would have been very hard to have written an episode you're sticking the Doctor in without ending up with that Doctor Ex Machina at the end. It
yes,
it happens again in the episode Matt Smith did of the series as well.
yes, um, but obviously Maestro states that the music was present on the night of Ruby's birth,
Yeah,
and saying that this
and
carrot is that of the oldest one, and you're like, ooh, ooh, who's that? And obviously then they start playing Mrs. Mill's piano, and the Doctor
yeah,
tries to find the chord to banish Maestro, but he's unable to find the final chord. And obviously,
yeah.
Maestro sends the piano out of the room and then traps Ruby and the Doctor inside musical instruments. And
Yes, yeah, Ruby. This is the bit that I find bizarre
okay,
because Ruby gets trapped in a cello,
yeah,
and the Doctor gets trapped in a snare drum.
yeah,
Was it snare? Some kind of
it's
drum.
drum, yeah,
Here's the issue:
okay.
Ruby is saying she can't breathe. She is in the one with air holes. The Doctor's the one with no air
I
hole.
think we
He should
kind
be
of have
having
to. I
problems.
think we have to kind of excuse that. I think it works. It works. But the piano is obviously kicked outside, and then we have John Lennon and Paul McCartney work together to make the chord, and
Hmm.
it's amazing. Like this whole scene with the piano running, going back into the studio,
Hmm.
Maestro basically being pulled and dragged back into the piano, and obviously they're holding on, going, what's they say? The
I
one who
can't
waits is
remember.
coming. Is something like that, isn't
Yeah.
it? And they're like, they're like being dragged down this piano, and then obviously
Hmm.
Ruby and the Doctor
they go back to the roof where they were playing the piano earlier.
Yes. And then we get the musical number, which I don't know how I feel about this, but this does give me the best part of this episode, and the fact that this is what sent me down a rabbit hole, because we get the comment of there's always a twist at the end, which starts the musical number
With the wink.
with the wink. But then a million Doctor Who fans discovered in the outro and the credits there is a character called Susan Twist, who is the last character named, e.g. there is always a twist at the end.
At the end.
But we don't really know who the character is. It literally is Susan Twist, and then obviously...
Ooh, which is funny, because isn't that the actress?
Yeah, which kind of threw me. But yes, we get the musical number, we get the Beatles.
Yeah, you get Ruby with Scylla.
Yes, we get everyone, and we get is singing his little heart out. Yeah, so we kind of get everything in this kind of this song, and I like it, even though I didn't quite expect it. I felt very much like it was breaking the rules of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Just ever so slightly, but I didn't
So
not like it.
my only issue here is it felt like we were basically getting, they wanted to make it a musical episode, but didn't. I don't want to say didn't have the guts to, but it's very much feels like that.
Yeah, and Chris has put in the comments that it was a Doctor Who Footloose episode. You're not wrong, mate. You're not wrong.
Yeah, except rather than no dancing allowed, it's no music allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, yeah, I mean, if you're going to do the musical, just commit to it. Like, I mean, for bleeding heck's sake, if Star Trek, a show that really does not lend itself to doing a musical,
Oh my God, the
could
musical
do it,
episode.
and also arguably make the best musical episode of a show to date.
Oh my God, I listen to that album at least 15 times a week. I love it.
That one and the Lucifer musical episode are both on my Spotify playlist.
I love that. But yes, I just also want to highlight how amazing were the actors and actresses that did, you know, Paul McCartney, John Lennon. They were absolutely amazing. I kind of felt the vibe was 100% there for them, and Ursula was amazing too. I thought the people that they got to play them were really, really good.
They did a good job of it. They
Yeah.
did a very good job of it.
Yes. So I feel very much like the whole vibe of this episode was really good. So,
Yeah.
what is your score for this episode, Ben?
My score is a 4 out of 5.
Okay. And it is a 4 out of 5 maestros, because there is no other way that there is nothing else that I could have picked from this episode.
Ooh, which outfit?
The black and white one, the musical one.
Hmm.
I like that outfit.
See, I prefer the Toymaker outfit.
But I couldn't get a good photo of it at that angle, so
fair.
that angle,
That's fair enough.
That works for me.
That is fair enough.
I am actually going to give this episode 5.
Okay.
Because I wasn't disappointed at any point of this episode. I found this episode hit every beat for me. It's up there with Blink, with Doomsday, with the 50th anniversary. It's up there with every single of my favorite Doctor Who episodes. I love it. I love this episode. It hit every note.
That's fair enough. See, for me, I like the episode. It's very well written. It's very well performed.
Yeah.
My two biggest gripes are feels like it wants to be a musical, but is afraid to do it.
Yeah.
And also, the positioning in the season feels wrong. It feels like it should come much later, if not as the finale.
Yes, but as we've said, that's very, very much down to scheduling, I think. I think that's very much down to,
It's also down to what they wanted to do at the back end of the season.
yeah, I also feel like very much if we were reviewing this on the night of the episode or
Hmm.
very, very close to it, I don't think we would have noticed it quite as much.
Hmm.
I think if we were reviewing it then, I think it would be very different. Um, but I do not think this is a bad episode. I think the
Hmm.
series is very much suffering from the lack of filler episodes. You know, we look back to when we had Eccleston, we had Tennant, we had episodes that were very much
I
filler.
mean, to be fair, we've had one or two filler episodes. Dot and Bubble felt fillery to me.
Mm,
The problem is, Dot and Bubble does also suffer for its placement in the season
yep.
because it suffers for its sandwich between, in my opinion, the two best episodes of the season.
Yes, yes, because Dot and Bubble. No, 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 we've not. No, because Dot and Bubble's two
Episode
episodes.
5.
Episode 5. So, oh yes, we've got
So it comes between
we've
73 yards and Rogue.
yes,
Mild
we've got
spoilers here for how I'm going to be grading things, but one of those two is my top
yes,
episode.
yes, yes. And Chris, I am making all the musical puns here. I'm not gonna lie. I've been making it all evening. But yes, so there are some things that people might have noticed around Discord and stuff today.
Hmm.
Um, One, we've got a new community champion in Chris, who, for anyone who doesn't know who Chris is, he is one of the guys that is always in our comments. He's on Discord, he talks, he creates memes, he's on our social medias. He is one of the fleet's biggest cheerleaders, and there was no way with what I'm going to say next, I couldn't not make him a comms champion. With that being said, um, as most people know, I was the department head for communications. So I joined communications when as well, I've been the only person who's been on communications since it started in 2018. But I am going to be stepping away from, well, now basically, um, about 80% of communication role, which means someone's going to be taking over communications, and that person's Paul, who is one of our community champions anyway. So he's going to be taking over doing the awards. He's going to be taking over doing the competitions. He's going to be taking over helping with social media with me. So yes, so Paul is going to be on the Fleet Council from, well, now as soon as I finish this, he's going to be changing from pink to yellow. And I could not think of a better person to take over the department that I built over the last 7 years. I'm trying to pick up my sums. Over the last six or 7 years. So yeah, it's going to be a big adjustment because I think people are going to be like, okay, I'm going to go to Becca for this. No, 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 you're not. You go to Paul. You,
So, just to clarify,
yes.
after saying for the last, what, 5 years
Mm-hmm.
that you're actually going to step away from the com stuff, you're actually going to step away from com stuff.
Yeah, as of now.
What?
Yes. So
What?
my skills are needed to do other community things.
What?
So
I had to get the third what in.
so yes. So Paul is literally going to be doing he's going to be doing the writing competitions. He's going to be doing the player recruitment. He's going to be doing the fleet level awards. He's going to be assisting with a couple of little projects that we might have going on. Small spoilers. But yes, so that is basically happening now. Um, there will be a slight adjustment, I think. I think because Ben's reaction kind of says it all that things aren't going to be the same.
It's mostly because, and I remember I'm going back to when I used to be on the Fleet Council. Many, many moons ago. Back when...
Back when you were a young lad.
Yes, when Paul McCartney and John Lennon were wee boys. No, you would continually say that you were going to be taking a step back,
But there
and
was no one there, but there was no one to take on the role.
fair, but it felt almost like a running joke
Yes.
because of how often it was said.
Yes,
And
but there was no one to take on the role at that point. 4 years on, there is, because Paul is amazing. You know, he's doing a lot of the things anyway. And my skills are needed elsewhere around the fleet. You know, I'm still going to be doing the podcasts. I'm still going to be doing the social media. I'm still going to be running the events, and poking people to do events, which brings up Obsidian Day, which is now technically, I guess, Obsidian Weekend, because it's not just Saturday, it's also Sunday. So we have got Fleetcast episodes. We're going to be doing some streams. We've got Cypher, who is going to be doing some tabletop Star Trek adventures. Set in the Next Generation era and the Enterprise era, so he's going to be doing that. Dulac is going to be doing Star Trek Online stuff, and there's obviously still loads and loads of scope for other people to do stuff. So Ben, think of an activity and run it, please. So yes, so
something nice turkey sandwich.
But yes, and the other announcement I've got is, people might have noticed it, they might have not, but our YouTube handle has changed. Instead of it being Obsidian Fleet Sims, it's now Obsidian Fleet Games, because Sims is a term that we're trying to get away from because it doesn't really mean anything to anyone outside of the community.
It makes right. Anyone outside of the community would hear Sims and expect to see a little green diamond floating above our heads.
Pretty much. So yes, so our kind of handle has changed, but yes. So if there's any comments, any questions, anything that anyone's got worrying about, put it into the comments. I will answer them. I will answer any questions, you know, poke me on Discord. I'm still around. Chris and Sep are not lucky enough to lose me as point of JFC. Though I probably would think sometimes they wish for a quiet life, but they won't, because tough luck.
I think as much as they'd hate to admit it, they'd probably be somewhat lost without you.
Aww. You're gonna make me cry. But yes, so things are ever so slightly changing in the Fleet Council, but we're awesome as per usual. But yes, for this episode, for Saturday, I'm not entirely sure if it's a Doctor Who review or the animated series review, but I am going to SunnyCon with Chris, and hopefully I'm going to see Dulac on the Sunday, because he's going to be there as well. So if anyone has anything they'd like for me to pass on to them, to poke them, I will put it all over social media.
Okay, but can you do one thing?
Depends.
Just hug Dulac for me.
Oh, of course, that's a given. The poor guy is going to be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, this is for Ben. This is from Paul."
27 hugs later.
His poor wife is going to be like, "Who is this woman hugging you?" And then I'm gonna hug her, going, "Thank you for this. Thank you for letting us have Dulac." But yes, so it's an exciting weekend. I'm not entirely sure what the plan is for the weekend. Just because this episode has kind of thrown us, because we're a little bit out of routine. But yeah, I don't have anything else to add. Ben, you got anything?
Yes, I actually do.
Okay.
It's something that I thought of about 10 minutes
ago. Okay.
Because we actually skipped one thing in this episode.
What did we skip?
So back in the scene where the Doctor first meets Maestro, because obviously we were so caught up in that, we missed the preamble when the Doctor and Ruby are talking. Okay. And the Doctor points out 1963, I live just over there, referring to the IM4.
Yes! Yes.
junkyard.
We
And
did.
he mentions that he lived there with his granddaughter Susan.
Right, now we're gonna get started. We're gonna get started on. No, we're not. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna spoil this episode with spoilers. I'm not gonna do it.
No, we're not going to go further than that, but just saying you get the name drop.
Yes, and yes,
Which also, I really like the fact that they actually do it, because that is literally a name drop that goes back to William Hartnell's first season.
yes. We need to do more of these reviews quickly because I need to get to this episode that we've watched this week.
You're going to end up explode. You're right.
We might have to do. We might have to do a debunk episode just to get out.
Yeah, I mean, at the rate we're going, you are going to spoil something before we get there.
Yes, I'm really sorry for that.
If you don't, I am.
I can't I can't contain it. So it could be for Obsidian Day we might just have to do like massive reviews for whatever's left. We might have to.
Also, yeah, I mean that could be fun. Also, just I don't want to do a doctor rate off, but maybe a companion rate off.
Ooh, that's an idea. That's something.
Doctors, that's where you get into big arguments.
Yes, but that's not a bad shout. So yes, that might be something. But I have nothing else to say, so I'm going to leave it there. So stay lovely, stay fabulous, stay logical, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
In the vastness of the